This is Dr. David Klein with Stages of Life Medical Institute in sunny Longwood, Florida. It's still nice down here. Everybody seems to be getting along. We're not shooting each other yet. But the question here, is it okay to? Question mark. And I hear people ask these questions all the time, and it just floors me what people are thinking. We're in the middle of this epidemic where what seems to be slowing it down is staying at home. All right? So how hard is that? Stay at home. In the jail system, stay in your cell. They can actually enforce that. But we have a hard time here. We can't keep people out of the state from pestilence-ridden states elsewhere because we can't enforce roadblocks on the road. It'd be really nice if we could, but this is not Europe. This is not Asia. We're not allowed to do that, to our detriment in this case. So borders do matter. Hopefully that'll get picked up after this is done. People will realize how important it is to be able to maintain security one way or the other. But is it okay, Doc, to go to a dinner party? My response is usually, okay, this is going to be a multiple choice test. What kind of idiot are you? A, okay, garden variety idiot. B, highly educated idiot. Or C, just simply a misguided individual. And the answer is C, all of the above, right? Remember those K-type questions. Okay, what is it about a dinner party that's particularly bad, whether it's got fewer than 10 people, fewer than 8 people, fewer than 6 people? It's bad enough that you have to eat dinner with your spouse and children, okay? But the more people that you have around, the greater the likelihood that you're going to spread this virus because it's enteric. Sure enough, it's droplet particles. You cough, you can pick it up, okay? The real studies haven't been done yet to find out whether you can pick the virus up in stool, sometimes known as poop. And the answer is yes, you can, because it's an enteric virus in every other species that it rolls through. So if you're handling somebody else's salad tongs, pass the bread, pass the salad, pass the spaghetti, pass whatever it happens to be. You're grabbing the serving utensil, or you're shoving your own fork into it, right? It's going to be one or the other. You're holding the plate, or you're reaching across somebody else to get at the food. They used to call that the boarding house reach. We don't see too many boarding houses anymore in this country. However, that's what they were once called. So having a dinner party is a real problem. Handling other people's food is a bigger problem, and handling other people's utensils, napkins, and plates is probably the biggest problem. So would you go to a dinner party now? I don't think so. What about going to the grocery store just because you can? I've had people say, I'll go out there and go to the grocery store and hang out just because I need to get out of the house. Okay, well, what you're doing there is you're putting everybody at risk. Nobody needs you there. You're not going to be buying anything that you don't need. Okay, it just doesn't work that way. So no, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. All right, well, I can drive around because I'm essential personnel. Oh, great, okay. A, you're not that essential, okay, because if you were run over today, nobody'd care. You'd leave about as much effect on the environment as if you were a hand being shoved into a bucket of water and then remove it. The bucket doesn't care, okay? So don't put anybody else at risk because you think you need to get out of your house. Why don't you go out and play in the garden? Why don't you go take a walk? Why don't you do something but don't put me at risk because I'm in that grocery store to do business, and it's called buying groceries for my family, which, by the way, is hard to do when you're doing medical work and you get home late. Okay, A, they're not open anymore, but B, if you get out a little bit earlier, everything's sold out. So get the heck out of there. Watch your consumption. You don't need to be buying up everything because this is going to be over eventually. And then the last thing, okay, is visiting your kids and grandkids, right? Okay, you can catch infections as well as give them, okay? They say it's more blessed to give than to receive. That's not always the case now, is it? So your kids are going to be there. Your grandkids are going to be there. Try not to get sick from your kids or your grandkids. It's easy enough to be sick of them, okay? But you don't want to be sick from them. So be careful with that. And perhaps one last thing. Okay, as long as I got your attention. And that's that, I can get my nails done because I found one that's open. Okay, how goofy is that? Now, there's a national back order on acetone. Why is that? Because women are not going out having those gel nails removed, right? And there's no other way to get them off, right? So where does the acetone come from? It comes mostly from China, wouldn't you know? Okay, so kind of get past the idea that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Use your common sense. Listen to the leadership. You don't have to listen to everything anybody ever says to you. But when the team is pulling in a direction, it really doesn't help for individuals to pull in the opposite direction, particularly while we're in competition. Okay, tug of war is a good example. Doesn't help to pull in the opposite direction because you disagree with somebody there. But it's particularly true when we're in an emergency situation. So if the alarm goes off, the air raid siren fires off and says, go to the nearest bomb shelter, you don't argue. You just go do it. And if you're fortunate enough not to get blown up, you don't argue at the siren. All right? So if we don't see 200,000 deaths, okay, which is my hope and expectation, you don't yell at the people that told you that that was a possibility. This is Dr. David Klein, Stages of Life Medical Institute, Longwood, Florida.